Welcome back to Represtos and welcome back to the M113 Capri build. Well, now it must be episode 24, 25, I don't know. Somewhere around that. Oh no. Might be more than that. Might be 30 odd. I've not got a clue, I've lost count to be honest, sorry. So last episode, we got this beast running again, which was fantastic. So, it's starting to look, in my opinion, damn good. But, obviously, we've still got multiple things to do. One of which is this job. This is the Capri, this would be a 1.6 engine bay wiring loom for a Capri. It's obviously been modified and altered over the years many times for every different kind of engine I've put in this car. But we need to put it back, but not as it is. Why? Because one, we've removed pretty much all the wiring from the engine bay, so it can't go back where it was. Two, it's not been long enough, and three, the way it's done isn't going to be suitable. So we are putting, in this episode, BMW E30 smiley headlights in this thing. I'm going to make probably a separate video on how to do the actual conversion, because it would be too much for this video alone. I haven't even got them yet, so they'll be arriving, well, hopefully soon, because I need them to finish this video. So we're fitting them, two reasons. Ish, yeah. The standard Capri ones, horrific. Now I kept trying to buy just new ones of the Capri ones, but the crystal clear ones. However, the manufacturer seemed to have stopped making them some point after COVID, and I can't buy them anywhere. So I was just going to put night breakers in, uprated loom, and crystal clear like I do on the Golf and on the Range Rover Classic. I couldn't do it. So what else then? Well, I quite like in my Transit and a Range Rover and that, the LEDs and the high intensity discharge lighting through a projector lens, because it's far superior. But how to do that? Well, I need lights that will fit in with projector lenses. Well, that's where the E30 lights come in. Not only are they the right size, once modified, it's a common upgrade that many people have done, and it gives me a projector lens. So in that projector lens, I can fit high intensity discharge lighting or an LED. And providing the beam pattern that comes out of that is the correct beam pattern on a 1984 Ford Capri, that is then completely road legal and MOT passable. After 1986, that wouldn't be acceptable for an MOT. But I don't make the rules. 1984, it's allowed. And I'm not out there to blind anyone on the road, so it's either, I'm either going to have the correct beam pattern, or it won't have the LEDs. One or the other, okay? So I'm not going to blind anyone. Maybe bar high beams, but that don't matter. Because if you've got high beams on, and you're blinding someone, then you shouldn't have your high beams on. So, yeah. Perfect. So, I was going to start the wiring, but I really can't be asked to do this job. Especially not when this ties in then to the other fuse box in the car. I've got to go through, work it all out, modify it all, do it I don't want to do it, okay? Not going to lie. Wiring is my forte and I can't be asked. So what we're going to start with, I think I'm actually going to put some of the front ends back together to give me a bit of inspiration to crack on with the wiring. And we're also going to make the custom bonnet release cable. Now that's going to run through the inner wings as well. So I'm going to shut up, I'm going to time lapse it, and we're going to get the front end of this Capri almost looking like a Capri again. And we're going to start chucking in new headlight wiring, new horn wiring, the washer bottle system, jets, that needs to go in as well. And all those little jobs we need to start doing just to finish the car off, ready to get on the road. So let's crack on. There we have it. We have the front bumper and the lip on, which is actually a bit of a pain in the ass to be honest, but it's on. Oh, and the grille. I spent probably about 50 minutes trying to find the clips, because I've actually now got all the proper clips in the mid grille and in the main grille, which I never had before. I had 4 clips in the main grille and I'd made up some fancy, not fancy bodge things before. So I splashed out and bought the proper ones, but it took me 50 minutes to find them. Eventually found them in a rubbish pile, of course. So, now that part's done, obviously can't do the lights yet, I'm going to have to pop the grill off again in a minute when we continue on. So what's next? The part I really don't want to do, but I'll thank myself for doing once I've done it. So I best just shut up and crack on and do it, really, better than I. So here's the wiring loom. This wiring loom used to plug in here, and then went down and run around the bay. Obviously I've ditched all that stuff because it was ugly, and it used to have like the headlight relay back there, and it's gone. So now, if you remember rightly from previous episodes, we've got a hole inside the inner wing, and the wiring's going to run in. We welded studs on the bottom of here, which come across, and then it'll run through the hole in the back of the headlight bucket, and then through the factory holes under the slam panel there to the other headlight, which is kind of the opposite way it used to run on the Capri. Which means we need to remake this wiring entirely, especially because I don't plan on using the old Ford headlight relay, although it would make my life much easier if I did, because I could just sort of put it in and it would be done. Instead, we're going to be using standard relays, standard blade fuse holders, because inside this headlight relay is little fuses and they corrode, and I don't want to be dealing with that. I don't want to use the old Ford wiring. I want to run a new feed straight from, not sure yet whether we're going to pick it up off the, probably off the positive post I put in there, run it along with this other cable and give ourselves a decent power feed to the front headlights, so we have no voltage drop issues, which means we get our full light output, which is what we want. And then in these buckets mount the relays and that small fuse holder for the front headlights, so all we'll get used is the signals from the stalks to control the headlights, which is the same way I done it on the Golf. And it's just it's nice to keep things separate sometimes, so that's what I'm doing. Oh, and the old Capri horn, that always used to give me issues. So of course we can't use the Capri horn, let's use the Mercedes horns. I kept them for a reason. So we got both two tones of Mercedes horn here. And they're actually Flam. I'm sure they said on the back of their Hella. Oh, two different units. Okay. That's strange. They're on the same car, but they're two different ones. Whether one had been changed before, I've got no idea, to be honest. That's strange. But anyway, they both work, unlike the Capri one. So we'll mount them two proper horns somewhere in behind this grill, not sure yet. And then we've also got our washer bottle. That's got to go into the inner wing. I've got my coffee, got my knife. Let's start chopping. I really can't be asked to do this. I have got to be careful while looking at this, because I do intend to keep these forward connectors, because it makes sense to keep them. But they won't fit through a hole I've done in the firewall there. So any wiring I put on here has to better be wired from inside the car out, back down to this way, because it will only go one way by the looks of it. That should be possible. Yeah, it'd be right. It'd be right. So this here is all the wiring and the headlight relay, which we don't need anymore. So that contains obviously a lot of stuff that used to be in the car when it had a Pinto and Ford wired it. So like things like the coil feeds, tacho feeds, all the battery cables, the alternator, starter, all that rubbish. And then the headlight wiring used to go between headlights. What I've got over here now is that's two multi-plugs. That's one of the plugs that went to the fuse box before. And that's a stupid separate plug for some reason that done the high and low beam headlights. Don't know why Ford done that, but whatever. So all we've got here now is we've got the feed, which powers up the ignition in the car. We've got the signal for the left and right indicator, and the left and right side lights. And then, yeah, high and low beam, and the horn. Oh, and the washer. That's it. So essentially just the items around the front here now, which aren't covered under the engine. So we'll make that as one nice new loom. It's in the car's a mess wiring wise. There's not much I can do about that now. Well, there is, but I'm not. Obviously, the wiring that comes back from the engine, all about to ECU, is all proper, nice, tidy, plug and play with all nice, quick, waterproof plugs. We'll make all the wiring that comes through from the car to all the lights and that nice as well. And then eventually one day we'll need to sort of rewire what's left of the Ford wiring, which is getting to be very little now, to be honest. We'll put that on new multi-plugs inside, and we'll link it up, to all the ignition accessories, dashboard, and back to the ECU board, all nicely. So we are getting there. So this is where we got. Ignore the mess in here. As I said, I think I mentioned before already, that's a future problem. We're sort of rewiring our way back through the car gradually. So I'm going to have to repin the fuse board back in. So it's going to go up here somewhere. And I've connected the engine bay loom back up to the connectors in here again. So now we've got our main power, which is about to short out. Nice. Connected up there on that crocodile clip at a minute. All our outgoings here. So using the trusty Power Pro 4, we should now be able to work out if we've got power and if it's correct. So this one here should be the horn. So if I was to turn the ignition on, that's already a good sign. Probe in the end. No power, press the horn. Got power. So I've actually already done this, to be honest. I've checked them all through. A lot of reverse lights, haven't checked anything actually. Which should be these ones here. So, if I join these two, we should have some reverse lights hopefully. Cool. We do. Excellent. So, everything works. Just spot on. Which now means this wiring loom here, some obviously are short, actually fair, most of them are going to be short. The ones that are immediately short, we can now extend, and we'll push them out into the inner wing and start wiring our way through. That's a bit of progress made again. Got a loom, still needs to be put up on the ramp in a minute and put it on the proper studs. That's where our washer bottles go in there. That's all taped up, grommets all fitted, so they come through into the headlight buckets. Perfect. So that's all good. So I've started positioning the wiring across the front here. So what we have here, got the side light, that's high beam, dip beam, and all our grounds. I run all the grounds individually. I could have used bigger cable and then spliced in and whatnot, but it doesn't make any difference, to be honest. At least there's one less connection inside the loom anyway. Where I have had to do a few connections, I've used the heat shrink solder crimps just because they're more watertight. We've got offside indicator, both horns, near side indicator, and then this is going to be the busy bucket, because in this one we've got the, so we're going to have a side, dipped and main beam. We're going to have our main power feed. We've got our signal cables that come through them two there from the dashboard for a high and low beam for the relays. And then in here we're going to have to mount all the fuses and the relays for the front lighting. So I haven't decided yet. Do I want to do 2? Technically, each light is, let's say, 5 amps. Might actually be a bit less than that, but let's just say 5 amps. So these relays are supposedly rated at 40 amps a piece, which means we could run 1 relay for high, 1 for low. And fuses, within reason, we can get away with a 15 amp fuse for high, 15 amp for low. But I'm kind of thinking that I want to put a relay and a fuse per light, just because that gives me some redundancy. So if one of the LEDs go faulty, blows a fuse, I've still got the other 3 lights. If a relay fails, which I've had before on the Golf, doesn't matter, I've still got the other lights. I think when it happened on the Golf, I lost dip beam and I had to I just moved the relays and wiring around so that I had no high beam and just dip beam, which is fine. But it's more wiring, but it's more redundancy. Not that this car needs redundancy. It's going to do bugger all miles. It will get driven in the dark, but I might, as I've got a 6-way fuse box and I've got, I think, 5 relays there, I might as well just plug in 4 relays and a fuse box. So I won't bother recording that part because it's boring, but I'm going to try and keep the power as a bit of a separate loom, and I am going to keep this headlight as a slight separate loom, which means I can then pull the main loom back through without it being too bulky. So I'm going to crack on that. The horns, I think, so I don't want to mount them forwards, that would be a bad idea. Saying that, I don't want to mount them downwards, don't I, to drain anything that goes in them. That would be a bad way because things would still get in them. Okay, I might have to rethink that. Well, I can adjust these. So I think I'm going to mount them. They're going to mount back up in here on that bracket, and I'll rotate them so they point downwards. So obviously we don't fill up with water and that when I'm pressure washing the crap out of it. So I'm going to crack them in that minute. The GoPro needs charging again because it's crap. But I might buy a new camera soon. Depends. We'll see. Ideally, I've kind of not touched any of my YouTube revenue yet, so it's just kind of sitting there. And I can buy a nice camera if I want to, but depends. Anyway, I'm going to continue wiring because I've still got another little while left to doing it. But we've now we've got the fiddly bits, but we've now broke the camel's back with the wiring by far. So we'll get that done, and then we'll crack on with things like the bonnet release cable, washer bottle, all that plumbing, and just start taking off the little jobs really. Let's go for it. Still making progress. Wiring looks the same, that's because it is still the same, bar this. So I just quickly fabric cobbled this together. This is the fuse board and the relay board to the headlights. So we're going to have 4 fuses, 4 relays, essentially 1 for each light. Now this is designed to again be pretty much, can unplug the whole unit. So all we need in here now is, this is our main feed, comes in here from the big power post that's got the engine bay. Comes in here, this ground here just grounds out to the ground point in the headlight bucket, ready for to activate the relays. And then as simple as 2 connections here, low beam, high beam, which are 2 wires from in the car to activate 2 pairs of relays, and then 1 wire here to each of our headlights. Simple as that. So that now is going to be screwed up in the headlight bucket, but still accessible from the inspection hatch. Over there, the new headlights arrived, so once we finish this wiring in a minute, we'll get onto that. But essentially all we need to do is put spade connectors on the end of the wiring for the headlights. As simple as that really. So I reckon get this mounted, get the horns mounted, drill a few holes for some ground points in these headlight buckets, and then we can get this all loom taped up, start putting the connectors on it, and start attaching things. Oh, this is progress. I like this. So I'm going to shut up and I'm going to crack on. There we have it. Got a cable tie the main power cable in, and put a few P-clips down in there to hold it in place. But wired up, grounds are in, all protected with electrical contact spray stuff like grease. It's in, horns are in, wiring here's in. So all in spade connectors. You'll see why in a minute. At least for them two, and then these two, and that's the side lights which we can put on spade connectors. So just keep it consistent. So horns are in, all the headlight wiring's in, the main power's back in, the washer bottle's in. I reckon we connect the battery up a second and we see if we have any power and what happens. This should be kind of interesting. One, does it go bang? Didn't go bang. Good start. Okay. So we should have ignition again now. Let's check. We do. Right. Do we have a washer bottle? We do. Right. That's good. Do we have a horn? Let's see. We do. Yeah, ideal. Haven't got any side lights hooked up yet, so we can't check that. What else can we check? Well, we can check if we can hear a headlight relay. Come on. That'll be side lights. Oh, I heard a click. And what about main beams? Yes. Excellent. Fantastic. So it's all clicking. Whether it's working, different story. But we'll try that when we plug headlights in. So, here are the headlights I've got. Well, there's the LEDs. E30 smileys. So a very common upgrade. Now what I like about these is they're projector headlights. So with like the LEDs or high intensity discharge lighting, we can get a really nice beam pattern, and they look kind of smart. So we're not going to be using high beams. One, because it means we've got to alter it to fit it. Two, because one's actually ruined, which they didn't advertise, so I'm not happy about that. But I've now got to modify all this plastic housing to fit within the Capri housings. So, one's in. Now, I was going to do a video on it, haven't got time. So, I'm going to quickly show you guys in a few simple steps how it basically works. So this is your E30 or your E34 headlight. You need to pop out of the housing here. That's fairly simple. Basically, just get it popped off these adjusters. Doesn't really matter if you break anything because you won't be using it. So just give it a bit of a twist. Or one-handed's a bit hard. But basically, pop all the adjusters off. Disconnect your wiring actually before you go too far. Whoops. One-handed is not the easiest. We don't want that plug. We're not using that one anymore. That's that one. So what's got left now? We've got a adjuster left, have we? Yep. Don't want to do this one-handed. 1 second. So here we have it, all broken out of this housing. Now, next step, we need to destroy this. Not quite. What we're going to do is, it's currently too big to fit in the Capri housing, so we need to chop off all of, drop on the floor a minute, all these tabs. And essentially, we want to aim to get this whole area here the same diameter all the way around, smooth. So cut off all these little tabs, cut off all these bigger tabs. I'm going to use the grinder to cut the bulk of it off, and then use the air file to smooth it down. So there we go, simple as that. I'm not sure how well you guys can see it. Just smooth circle all the way around. So easy, just don't go too far, take it steady if you're not sure. That's that part done. Ideal, sorted. That light is now prepped, ready to go. Next step is, well, currently these won't fit. It'll fit in the Capri front housing, the bracket for the adjuster, but won't fit through the back. It's too narrow. So how do we fix that? We open up the back. So you can either use a grinder, die grinder, spend half a day filing it if you want. I'm going to be cheeky. Plasma cutter right through there. Run the die grinder around it to clean it up afterwards. Job's done. You're looking to take off probably around about 10 mil all the way around ish. And there we go. I did slip a little bit, went a bit far. Oh well, don't matter. Now there is obviously much better ways of doing that. I certainly wouldn't advise using the plasma cutter whilst it's still got the hardware in and the high beam in. But yeah, I'm yet to take these apart, sandblast them, paint them all. So yeah, that's all on the to-do list. But for this episode, not happening this one. I just want to get them working and see what they're like. So that's that part done. Ideal, nice and easy. We've got to well, we haven't seen if it fits yet. I'm assuming it fits. Let's back off the locking screws. Now this one goes in. What way? Oh, it's stuck. Great. How's that happened? There we go. Now, if you're using a standard H1s, which I am not, simple. If yours come with wire and plugs, you can just put spade connectors on them and push them into the plug on the back already. Join the earth with the earth from the side light, push them in, away you're done. You haven't modified any Capri wiring, or you can cut them up, solder, crimp, join them back on. Assuming if you're doing this, you've probably you can wire up that. I'm not using these because I'm using the LEDs, so they go entirely. What was I just looking at now then? Actually, before I go too far, I need to change this one for an LED, because once it's fitted, you can't get in to change the side lights, so maybe check they work before you fit them. And see if this fits. Should be that way around there. Just like that. So it fits in, nice bit of gap on the back, which allows for your adjustment to set your headlight in. And then this ring should hopefully fit snugly over the light, like the originals did. Right, that's both of them fitted. The GoPro is just terrible in dark, full stop, so I don't know how it's going to come out. Now, bearing in mind, obviously, we've had no adjustment yet, and I don't even know if the LEDs are in the right way up, whether they need a tweak. No idea. But let's fire it up a minute and see if you can actually see anything out the camera. So, that is obviously side lights, which are already, I think, as bright as the old Capri dip beams, to be honest. That is dip beam there, which is fantastic. I can already see there that this light here definitely pointing a bit high, but you can see a nice clear line across the spray booth, and then as it kicks up, so that's a good sign, which means we appear to potentially have a nice output from the projectors with the LED, which is what we want, because if it's not a clean line, I'm not interested in having the LEDs, because obviously I want it to be fully road legal and not distracting for other drivers. And then we've got high beam, whereas high beam doesn't really matter, because if I've got my high beam on for another driver, it's because they've just annoyed me. Oh, wow. That is bright. Obviously, I'm not going to know until it's on the road at night time and actually see how well they project on the road, how far they project. But already, that's uncomfortable to look at. That's intense. Oh. Perfect. So I can't stand having terrible headlights now. Let's just... yeah. So, with the likes of like my Range Rover on the road and that, where the headlights are fantastic, high up, you come against like the Capri, with its candles, old windscreen, you're sat down low, you can't see a thing. You know, you're blinded by the oncoming traffic, your lights don't do anything, it's useless. So at least now I'll have something semi-decent light-wise to see where I'm going, which will be handy. So I don't mind spending money on lights, wipers, and the safety issues, the things that make it safer to drive. Perfect. I'm very happy with that. Yeah, they certainly look the part. I'm glad I went with them. And so far, it seems like a beam pattern, pretty damn good. So I've just well, the Mark II grill was looking a bit messy. It's now looking a bit fresher. So he's had a new coat of satin black. Although there seems to be 50 layers of paint on that grill. Whether that's from Ford or whether it's been painted 50 million times before, I don't know. But without sort of sandblasting and taking it all back, there's a few little issues with it, but they were there before. It's just going to tighten up, smarten up a little bit. I also decided to, because the trimmer on the outside appeared to be like painted aluminium. No idea what Ford's idea behind it was, other than to maybe hold back corrosion. I've soda blasted it, just so it's a bit nicer looking now. So that's ready to pop back on. I'll touch in the letters, and that's then the front end coming together. It's all, none of it's, the only thing that's really, well, not perfect, but close to, is the engine bay. That's the tidy part. Everything else on the outside is sort of just bolting back on what I already had, you know. Last got sort of touched up about 7 years ago-ish, when I was on my first ever project car, so it's not mint, but it's going to be presentable. I can't make it mint, there's too much to do. But yeah, so far, very happy. So we got the washer bottle power, need to mount it in and plumb it. We've got the power for the lights, all that done, made up, that's all working spot on. Indicators now work. We've got twin Mercedes horns all fitted and working. I've got an issue, one of the rear tail lights doesn't work, and one of the number plate lights. Now, that's always been an issue pretty much every year. That gives me at least a issue. So I think it's probably just the connections. So I've got to address that. But I can't remember where we started in this episode now. That's another good chunk of progress done. And that was probably the last job I was sort of maybe regretting doing. You know, not keen on doing, just the amount of work it needed to do it. Now it's done. So, step by step, we're getting there. So next episode, what do we need to do? We need to do bonnet release cable, need to mount the wash bottle, plumb it in, need to put this thing back on the ramp, tie up the cables, both there and there, that's then done. Sort out the transmission tunnel, make a guard as well, I guess, for the fuel pump, bits and bobs. Grommet the bits in the bay, reconnect the vacuum, and start sort of tying up again. So we've got about another episode of tying up the loose ends. We can get the clutch bled, get the prop back in, and start tuning, I guess. So I think within the next 2 episodes, there's going to be a fair bit done again, and we're going to be getting very close. So what are we now? 11th of June, I think? Not sure, no idea. And ideally, I wouldn't mind this on the road for my birthday, which is 6th of July. So it was, I think it was 7 years ago, on my birthday, my 21st birthday, I got this car on the road. It's my first ever project car. So it had been off the road for almost 2 years getting done up. So it would be nice to get it on the road again around that sort of time of year, and then have the summer to enjoy this thing. But we'll see how it goes. All depends how much time I get and then if we get any issues. So once again I rambled on. I'm good at that. Sorry. But very happy. So another episode of good progress. That's like 3 in a row now, isn't it? This camera's getting it. Really going to get it soon. So yeah, I'm very happy so far. We've got a fair bit to do, but we can have a few good days like this. At the minute, I'm trying to take 1 day a week off work, almost, to get on, do the Capri. It's kind of working-ish, maybe 1 every 2 weeks. But it's still nice, because we're making progress. So, very happy. Another big job done. First time ever fitting the E30 Smileys. They actually look really smart. They don't take away from the looks of the Capri at all, like the LED motorbike ones that people fit. And they appear, I'm not sure yet, we'll find out when we come to actually set them up properly on the door. They appear to work absolutely perfect, which would be fantastic. So yeah, very happy. We've got a lot done. Thank you guys for watching. Obviously if you like it, please drop it a like. If you don't, please don't dislike. Thank you. Drop me a comment, tell me what you think. Any ideas, any suggestions? I'm always open to ideas. And yeah, subscribe for obviously more. There's tons more on this build. There's a 25 turbo, there's just all the other builds, there's loads. I've said it 50,000 times now. If you're interested, I guess you have a watch. I've been Jordan, thank you for watching. With any luck, I'll see you again next time. Cheers.